Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We have here the introduction video for AP Physics C Mechanics course here at Central Catholic. So in this video what we'll do is talk a little bit about things you should do before you start the course. We'll talk a little bit about things to make sure you've done as you get situated here for the summer optional work that you're doing, and then some things to bear in mind as we begin in September. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing that you should do before starting the course is buy a subject notebook that has either 3 subjects or 5. So something like this, where you have the multiple dividers, is really helpful. The reason being is that you are going to be taking a lot of notes and different things on a lot of different work for the course, and you want to be able to have that organized in a useful way. So my general suggestion for what you do with this is to have one section that would be like a lab journal section. Another section would be where perhaps you take notes on textbook reading and where you work on homework. And then an additional section would be sort of your study guide review section, where you are keeping track of what are the key terms throughout the course. Once you've done that, you want to go ahead and buy a binder for handouts. And it doesn't need to be that big, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches at most, something just so you can keep track of everything throughout the year. After you've done that, make sure you've enrolled in the Remind course, and the link is on Moodle for that. And talking about Moodle, make sure that you've enrolled in the Moodle page. And once you're enrolled in Moodle, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the additional resources. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So I haven't fully filled in the Moodle page because, as far as I can tell, it hasn't been reset yet, and I don't want to lose that work. But if it takes any longer, I don't know what we're going to do, so I'll just start to fill it in as I've started to do here. But things to note for the Moodle page: first, we have the different summer topics. And then in this page, it's grayed out because only I can see this right now. You'll have a year-long documents and additional resources section. So this should be a helpful section for you throughout the entire year. Things like how to contact me, the syllabus, how to join the Remind class will all be here, along with a list of your assignments for the year, the course outline, and then some additional helpful resources. So for example, this Phizlets link takes you to a page that looks like this. And anytime you want to do a little bit of extra review and exploration of a certain topic, I would suggest you go here to start. It's a way to simulate a lot of the lab work that we'll be doing. And as I make videos, I will often use this as a helpful resource in making the video. The other thing I'll post here is other helpful resources. It's my hope that these videos will be helpful for you, that they will help to cover everything that you need, but sometimes you just need things represented in a different way. You'll find that when you go to college. I remember taking a chemistry course, and even though I was registered for one professor, I always went to another professor's lecture just because the way that professor lectured clicked better for me. So one YouTube channel that a lot of students liked last year was this Flipping Physics YouTube channel that I've linked, that has a lot of really helpful review videos on here as well. So I'll have my videos for you, but never hesitate to go and find something else. Let's talk about a few other helpful things. Just to recap for the notebook, your first section really should be a section dedicated to the labs. We will have probably around 20 labs. The labs are designed to replicate the thinking that you need to be able to do on the AP exam, as well as the observational data analysis and conclusion sort of skills that you'd want whenever you go to college and you are doing lab work at a college level. You also want to have a space to take notes on the textbook. So for those who have been in my physics class before, you will know that every single quiz is an open note quiz. So having good notes can be really beneficial. Alternatively, if you don't want to take notes in one of these subject dividers, if you prefer to have loose leaves that you can move around, then a binder's fine. Lastly, you want a final section for glossary, a glossary section on key terms, definitions, and equations. Something that you can go back to, revise, and fill in. But that way, if I ask you what's the definition of a dot product later when we need it in a different topic, you'll be able to just quickly look through that section and find it. If I ask you what's the difference between instantaneous acceleration and average acceleration, you can very quickly look that up. So that is a really key study piece that you want to have. And as we begin the summer work, it's something that you want to start with right away. All right, let's talk about a few other tips that will be helpful as you start this course and go through it throughout the year. Effective study strategies begin with being willing to try. These questions will be difficult, they will be challenging, and as one student described before, they kind of make you feel dumb sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're dumb. What you need to remember is that everybody at some point in time needs to ask for help. Yeah, there's this misconception sometimes that somebody like Einstein sort of just worked by himself and came up with his theory of relativity as this result of him being a sort of this unique genius that just had it in his brain. When in fact the reality is he talked with other people who worked in math and science all the time, writing letters, talking in person. There is always a communication, because what happens is in challenging problems you get stuck. So my general rule of thumb is when you do a practice problem, if you are stuck for more than 5 minutes, that is it, 5 minutes, if you try it and you are stuck, write down your question for what you're confused on and ask me or ask a classmate for help. If you do that, you will be very successful. You have to be willing to do that, and sometimes that's a really hard step to take. So just bear that in mind, that is really important. I would highly encourage you to have study groups. I know that that's difficult, being the fact that we all commute in from different locations, but now with having things like FaceTime, Google Hangouts, Skype, all sorts of different ways to communicate, it's a great idea to build a study group where you work through these. So I don't collect homework, I give homework quizzes. So don't freak out if you can't figure out a problem, as long as you ask for help, because I'm not going to collect it. You're not going to fail because you couldn't figure it out and it's due the next day, as long as you come by and receive help with the problem. Keeping that in mind, what you want to remember is that challenge is what makes you stronger, and that's usually something that we're pretty comfortable with in terms of exercise, right? If you want to get better at running a mile, what do? You make yourself run a lot, and you push yourself, and you keep track of how you're doing, and you try and increase your pace. The same thing with learning. Don't be upset if the course is difficult. And this is a lesson I want you guys to take away as you go to college. That it will be challenging. It's just part of when you are doing the physics that we're going to be doing, where you will see through labs that it accurately predicts what will happen in a variety of different instances. That's going to be challenging. But it's a really powerful tool, the fact that you can actually predict what will happen in our universe. So just bear that in mind. And to help you with that, we will work on study strategies throughout the year. The big goal is not to force you to use all of these, but to help you find something that works for you. And we will talk about this throughout the year to help you get ready for whatever challenging college program you decide to do. The big thing that you need to really try to break the habit of, if you're currently doing it, is cramming. And it's a totally natural thing to do, especially if you're taking a very challenging schedule, that you're just short on time and you have to pick the things that are due the next day, and so you get in this vicious cycle of cramming. The big goal that we're going to try and work on this year is how do we develop effective study strategies that don't rely on cramming. All right, so otherwise that's pretty much it. Just to show Moodle for one more moment here. The general process that we will have for the summer work is that I will give you a checklist. The checklist will give you the order of the things that you want to get done. You'll then have the rest of the things in order posted here on Moodle. So for example, the first thing that you need to do for one-dimensional kinematics is to do this lab that follows along with the lab handout. I'll then have videos that go over the lab, so if you're a little confused, if you want to make sure you get everything right, if you want to clarify things, there will be that video. After the video generally will be some practice. I will have videos going over the practice, so that way if you have questions you can get help with that. Just about once a week I will try and host a Twitch session for those who have questions, so you can submit questions ahead of time. I'll record the session and you can then watch it if you're not able to attend. And hopefully this will help you cover some of the things that I really feel aren't too difficult, and we can I don't want to say skip, because we're not going to skip, but we can move through quickly so that we have more time for other more difficult work. For those who haven't taken physics before, or maybe weren't in the honors level and want to do just a little bit more work, my first suggestion for you is I'll have all the reading chapters posted here. That way, since you guys don't have the access codes yet, you can still have early access, and you can start to work through those if you'd like. There are, of course, like Flipping Physics here and other resources online. I'm going to caution you from doing too much work online, just because I don't necessarily want you to get the wrong impression of physics. And a lot of these YouTube channels can teach things in a way that aren't quite how I want you to learn it. Our goal is always to understand, not to memorize. When you understand, you build such a stronger foundation for whatever you're going to do in college and in life. All right. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time, and looking forward to a great year with you. Thank you very much.